The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Good morning and welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm CJ.
And I'm Chip.
And it's all off to you.
Okay.
Because we have nothing to talk about today.
Yeah, we have a show that we had so many things to talk about, but I think we're going to talk about yesterday. It was a historic day in the city of Fall River. The first recall initiative to ever be undertaken in the city of Fall River took its second step by turning in over about 5,547, was that the final count? Am I correct with that? Signatures when the threshold was 2459. So it is a historic day, and we've already begun with the political machinations. The mayor is attempting to file some type of frivolous suit to block the 92 petitions that we turned in yesterday. So, CJ, what do you think about this political maneuver?
You know, it's been said that if you don't read the writing on the wall, you're probably going to bang into it by people. And I think when you look at 5,500 people have signed a petition to ask you to get out of office, you really need to say to yourself, you know, what do I need to do here to make this happen? Blaming the recall people for a $60,000 election that will become necessary to remove him from office is not the right way to go. Because when $60,000 was talked about in the budget process, you told the city council, Mr. Mayor, you know, let's not make a big thing over such a small amount of the budget. And you have to say to yourself, I won by I won with 8,000 votes or 9,000 votes. Right off the bat, take off 5,500 that signed the petition. How many votes are you going to win or lose by now? You know, you have to do a cost-benefit analysis. And at this point in time, you don't have a lot of credibility, nor do you have a lot of credit to cash in on. This isn't personal, and that's something that people can't seem to separate. This is politics, and as has been said on this show numerous times, politics is a war. There's just no bloodshed. It's already started. Your supporters, people who have supported you, have made very, very mean and nasty comments. And I know that some of our wingnuts on this side of the fence have done the same thing. But that's not what this is about. It's about having the proper person in office who has fiscal management skills, who can manage his office appropriately without giving away jobs, political patronage jobs that we can't afford, putting people on boards because they kissed your backside. That's not what this is about. This is about being responsible. And this is something Fall River has never had. They've never had an accountability of government. And for the first time, the people of Fall River have stood up and said, we will take no more. We will take no more.
Well said, CJ. And there's even more to this, I believe. I think that, you know, Will, I know you're watching, and I know you were elected to govern. But I feel that you should listen to the public. So, with that little parody, I'm going to get into the reality. Okay, this is America. Why don't we let the cooler heads prevail and realize that this is an exercise in democracy? The citizens had a statutory right to enter into a recall, which they did. We've secured signatures, and there's a process. So why don't the people, especially people like you, who, number one, is supposed to be an attorney, and secondly, you're part of government. Why don't we all, rather than try to tie this process up with political technicalities to delay the fact that the people have said they want a right to weigh in? And as I've said numerous times on this show, $60,000, there's money never more well spent than when you allow the people to have a voice in government, because that's what this nation was created for. And why don't you just man up and say, look, let's let the people decide. You're the guy who said that you got 72% of the vote, even though that's really not true, because we didn't have, it's 72% of the people who voted. In reality, or about 83% of the people didn't vote for you, or voted or didn't vote at all. So those figures can be manipulated. So why don't we get back to the core issue here? You contend that you've done a great job. You contend that you're still popular, and the majority of people support your candidacy and support you as mayor. So rather than use quote unquote lawyer tricks to delay the process and make yourself look even worse, why don't we just say, okay, this is it. We're going to throw the dice. Either we're right or you're right. So why don't you tell your lawyer to forget about it, certify the signatures, let's have a recall election, and if you win, the burgers are on me.
That's going to be interesting. And we've already seen some of the legal machinations that have gone into play. We saw a letter that was generated by the attorneys for the mayor, and they said that Chapter 50, Section 4 specifically said that the petitions must be filed by the deadline imposed by the 20-day rule, except for the first paragraph, which said that if the deadline date falls on a Sunday or a holiday, it is the next business day. So that would have been yesterday at 5 o'clock. In all fairness, we know that this is dividing the city. We've seen it. I mean, it's almost like the Civil War in Fall River, because even in family members, you'll have a husband and a wife do not agree on whether or not you are doing a good job. You have brothers and sisters doing the same thing. Parents with their children. Is that what you want your legacy to be in Fall River? That your legacy is going to be, oh yeah, he's the mayor that divided the city in half. He's the mayor that called it out. You want the legacy to be that your supporters have gone out and called everyone, every name under the sun? We've been civil. We've tried to be civil. And there are people that are wingnuts. And I can't apologize for them, but we've done what we can to keep it minimized. This became a very emotional issue for people, and it still is. I was going into St. Anne's Credit Union this morning. When I came out, two people were standing out there looking at the paper, and they were whispering about me. Your own brother has gone on Facebook and has made extremely rude and lewd comments about the people in this recall effort. And they've made it very clear that they don't like that and they didn't tolerate it. But your brother doesn't care. You have other people who have come out and fabricated stories and try to get people in trouble. And police officers, some of whom are afraid to do their job because afraid of the repercussions they might get. People in City Hall who are afraid to say anything. And meetings held before the school year started at Morton and various other buildings where they're being told clearly, if you value your job, you will stay away from this petition. Is that how we're going to govern Fall River? With fear? That doesn't work. That reminds me of a goose-stepping army down the streets of Germany in the 1940s.
Oh, let's not get you're going to be called an anti-Semite again.
That's not
CJ.
anti-Semitic. I mean, it is very true that when the people are afraid to speak up against their government, a right that is given to them by the Constitution, you have to ask yourself, why do they need to fear? I myself, and I have to say this, I myself got a littering ticket last week. My trash pickup is on a Thursday. Bulk items are picked up on a Thursday. On Wednesday afternoon, your litter enforcement officer came by my house and sent me by mail, which I got on Saturday, a ticket for $300 for littering. And the funny thing is, I don't even know where that came from. I don't use that particular door of that building. I didn't even know it was there. But why would I leave it out there? I have trash pickup from a company that would take it right away. But again, my trash pickup is on Thursday, so my trash would go out on Wednesday now because your Board of Health requires that. And again, this is a fear tactic. This is to make people feel that they can't do anything or say anything without repercussions from the government.
Well, I think that whether you are in favor of keeping the mayor or you are in favor of getting rid of the mayor, obviously, you know, we have a right to do this. The recall procedure is statutory, and people do get fired. You don't have to finish a contract. But the fact is, this has done a lot more good than harm, because the harm is being created by the people who don't understand the nation that they live in. They don't understand that people have a right to not agree and a right to voice that position. And this is what this nation was based upon. And let's, for the record, look at what the positives of this are. And I think even the Herald News grudgingly gave us this credit. We registered over 700 people to vote. When's the last time in the city of Fall River have you seen 700 people that were now engaged in a political process? Most of these people were young people who now will have a lifetime of involvement in paying attention to what is going on. You know, we engaged people who have been sitting on the couch complaining and saying, there's nothing I can do. This is the way it is. Government can just run over us like a Humvee, and we have to take it because you can't fight City Hall. Well, guess what? Whether you agree or disagree with the recall, you can't disagree with the fact that when this is all finished, besides being history in the fact that it occurred, it will have a long-lasting positive effect on the political process. The fact is, there are people now who are standing up and signing petitions and talking about going to the polls and voting that haven't in their lifetime, some, and some in many, many years, have never been involved in this political process, and they now are involved. And all the manipulations and all the political tricks and all the misrepresentations of facts just reinforce the fact that the times are changing. This is no longer politics as usual. You know, you can try to swift boat all you want. You can go on the radio and lie about people. You know, I know the minions were saying that I was, what am I doing? Doing this if I'm on a disability. Number one, if I was on a disability retirement, which I'm not, by the way. I went off on a normal superannuation pension. But I could have got a disability. I had 5 surgeries on this wrist, and I got hurt in the line of duty. But I chose, because I had the time, to take a normal pension and pay taxes on it. I could have got away without paying taxes. And because someone's on a disability pension, doesn't abrogate their rights as Americans, by the way. Just for you people out there who, you know, when you begin to talk and with this type of ridiculous rhetoric, you know, if brains were gunpowder, you wouldn't have enough powder to blow your own noses. And the fact is that this doesn't help the process. You know, it doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter. What matters is the issues here. What matters are the fact that the mayor said he wouldn't implement pay-as-you-throw. What matters is that even when he did implement it, he didn't go through the elected body. He tried to circumvent the process again. He did the same thing with the water meter fees. He did the same thing with the illegal rainwater taxes. You know, I mean, the record is there. But again, we get back to what this is. This is America. Let's all let the process heal us. Every one of us, everybody on the committee to recall Flanagan, and everybody who signed that petition will have to keep their mouths shut if we have a recall election and you win. We don't have to be happy about the outcome, but you know something? Our position was heard. It went to the voters, and the people who should decide whether you should continue as mayor had the final decision. And that's the reality of what we're facing here today. You know, this is historic in the fact that we're going back to a time when people truly believed that they were the government. And they didn't just throw up their hands and say, well, there's nothing I can do, we can't fight City Hall. So it's, you know, the signatures are in, let's stop the lawyer tricks, and let's throw the dice. If you're right and you're more popular than sliced white bread, you know, as I said, the burgers are on me. But the fact is, let's stop all this manipulation of the system in order to delay what the intent was to be, to have a referendum on your performance as mayor. And that's the bottom line. CJ?
You know, it's sad that we have to have such a conversation. I mean, we look at the real estate committee going to be coming up and dealing with the park issue again over at Maplewood, and you could see the machinations that are in process to make this happen, to make himself look very good, because the mayor turned around and said, if the city council doesn't approve the bonding to buy this land, he's going to take it out of CPA money. He doesn't have control over the CPA money. And that speaks volumes. That speaks volumes to, you know, what you have absolute power over, because you don't have that absolute power. Because even after the CPA people approve a project, it goes to the city council. So, you know, humility goes a long way. And if you have respect for your community that you have touted in the videos made by Fall River Government TV, funded by Fall River taxpayer dollars, because it was only $100,000 funded Fred TV and Fall River Government Television from Comcast. The balance of the fees of the money necessary for that station to operate, or stations to operate, comes out of the school department budget or your budget. Therefore, taxpayer dollars paid for that campaign video. But you got to have that humility. Okay? Many of your supporters called out. As a matter of fact, your brother called out last night and saying that I look like I'm 9 months pregnant. Okay, I'm a fat guy. All right? Guess what? I know I'm a fat guy, and there's not a lot I can do about it with my health, but I'm working on it. But did it make you feel better? Did it make your brother feel better? Did it make anyone feel better to hear, oh, he's a fat guy? Okay, I'm a fat guy. And I like food. I'm a fat guy. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. You're a bald guy. Do you know that?
Yeah, and you know, I'll remind everybody that, you know, that Benjamin Franklin was a fat guy, and Winston Churchill was a pretty fat guy, and they were historic figures in the history of this entire planet. So I mean, let's not talk about how people look. As Martin Luther King once said, Let's have a time when people are judged by the content of their character. And that's what we should be doing here. And it's only desperate people who resort to that type of defamatory rhetoric just to cloud the issue that the people they're supporting maybe are not really doing their job. You know, I don't know whether this political myopia that we have, these blinders, you know, we're talking about, you know, we spent $100,000 on a fountain in a park the size of a postage stamp, and we spend all this money on parks because we want to buy off neighborhood associations. When I just read the other day, I believe it was Dan Botello posted something that this city was like the 5th worst in the country for first-time home buyers because of the crime, because of the overall malaise that we see in this community. So, you know, as I said a few times in front of the council, this is a tale of two cities. It's the city that the politicians create. The feel-good, fuzzy Fall River is beautiful. And the real Fall River, that's ranked in the top 50 for heroin addiction, in the top 50 for crime, was considered the 4th most dangerous city in the Commonwealth, and is now the 5th worst city in the United States for a first-time home buyer. So am I being negative? No, I'm stating statistics and facts. That's not negative. And the first step you do to change things around is realize it. So maybe we need someone who's going to say, hey, look, this city has a tremendous amount of potential. And I truly believe that this city has a tremendous amount of potential. That's the reason I stayed here. I could have moved out of this city years ago, but I didn't. I think this city, it's got great location. And as they always say, location, location, location. I mean, we're at the intersection of 195, 24. We're 15 or 20 minutes from Newport, Rhode Island. We're half an hour from the Cape. You know, we're 20 minutes from Providence. You know, I mean, we've got tremendous, tremendous location. But when we continue to bury our head in the sand and not face the reality of what we're doing, when we begin to take taxpayers' dollars and rather than mock them for fire and police protection in a city that has major problems, and rather than that, we pay our friends in their political jobs and give them huge pay raises, and then fund public safety with purple bags, there's something innately wrong with what we're doing, and that's the reason we initiated the recall. So, as I said, you know, we're beating a dead horse now because, you know, the process has begun. We do have the signatures, and as I said, we're ready. We're ready. We've done our part. Let's just get it on the ballot. Let's get it on, Mayor. Let's get it on.
Yeah, it's, you know, we've had people say, you know, you've got to select a candidate to run, and, you know, that wasn't the job of the committee to recall Mayor Will Flanagan. The job of that committee was to get the recall on the ballot. And if the ballot is created, then that process has been completed. At which point, people will come out of the woodwork and put their names in to run for mayor. And then you, the people, have to decide, who do I want? Now, there's a lot of machinations going on that maybe the mayor has the opportunity to be on the ballot again, maybe he doesn't. My interpretation of Chapter 292 of the Special Acts of 1980, he doesn't. It says specifically that if the mayor is recalled, he shall be precluded from being appointed to any position in government for 2 years. It also says in the previous paragraph that the ballot is to be created to have the two parts, and in the second part, the candidates to succeed the recalled individual. The mayor can't succeed himself. And anyone who reads that in the law knows he's not going to be on the ballot if he gets recalled. His bite at the apple was the first section of the ballot. So if he is recalled in the first section of the ballot, he's out of office. And again, that's my opinion. And that's where a judge would have to decide if the mayor wishes to keep moving this forward. But let's make this be as proper as possible. Let the voices of the people be heard, and don't go down in history, Mr. Mayor, as the mayor who told his people where to go, because that's exactly what it's sounding like. And you have to realize you were elected by the people to represent the people, and over 5,500 people said they don't want you to represent them. Therefore, if that's a small portion of the people that they were able to get to, beyond anything, and that speaks volumes. It truly does. So, I don't know what else to say. I really don't. It's like,
and I agree with you, CG. I think enough has been said. There have been enough Facebook pages, phantom profiles, and a lot of discussion when we're getting down to the real issue here. And they said we couldn't initiate the recall, and we did. They said we couldn't get the signatures, and we probably have. They have to be obviously certified, but I'm sure that since we have more than double, we have over 3,000 the amount, we will get it done. So it gets down to, are we going to allow this process to make this, to finish this and let everybody go back to the business of doing what we have to do? Or are we going to continue to bog this down? And I think I'm going to say, I think it's patently unfair to put the city clerk in this position. She read the law. She gave us the date to bring back the petitions, and we did it, and that's what we did, and that's the way we have operated through this entire thing, and there's no longer a reason for any more rhetoric. Why don't we just stop the rhetoric and have an election? Why don't we just let this process come to its completion and do this? And we can get down to the business of, rather than calling each other names, we can get down to the business of sending out the message of why you should be in or why you shouldn't be in. And as far as the other candidates are concerned, I will tell you that our mission was to get this mayor removed because we don't feel he's doing the job. I don't support any candidate, and I think that the people who will throw their hat in the ring will be, we will have a choice. And I will tell you from my personal position, I will not support anybody who is not going to prioritize our tax dollars to pay for essential services, who is going to take a real look at the budget and have a real audit of the budget so we know where every single penny of our tax dollars are being spent. And we can all bite the bullet together and suffer for a little while and get this city back on its feet and turned in the direction it should be going. And then we can all enjoy it when things get better. Or we can continue down this path until we're into receivership and everybody will go down with the ship. But I can tell you one thing, the captain will abandon it.
That's probably very true. And it's been said very clearly that it's political suicide for this committee to endorse or put forth any candidate for mayor. Yet, on the other side of their face, they say you should select the candidate and run them and put all your energy behind that. So, no matter what is done, they're going to make us look bad. They're going to make all the recall people look bad. But history was made yesterday. On September 2nd, 2014, at 4:35 p.m., history was made in the city of Fall River when the recall petitions were filed and taken by the city clerk. And those people entered the elevators up to the city clerk's office and made it happen. And with jubilance, they were outside, in front of the press, in front of the public, to the sounds of horns beeping, to people saying, yes, go for this. And it really was the sense of democracy and freedom in action. It was a rehash of 1776 right here in Fall River.
And I want to say a quick thank you to all those people in the committee who worked so hard as we wrap up for tonight. Stay active, people.
And thank you for watching Spindle City Straight Talk. Have a great one.